as business owners or as creative people, if you're listening, you have to feed creativity. You have to feed your mind. Oh, there's a lot. I can talk about that. Yeah. There's a lot of ways. And one of them is walking away from your day to day and taking time out. And it doesn't have to be 2 weeks. I said this on a thing I was doing the other day. You know, I think a lot of the time people go, oh, I need to go away for 2 weeks holiday and, you know, or have an eat, pray, love journey to just, you know, find myself again. But actually, you could just go off on an adventure for a day and have fun and do something different. I'm a big fan of that. So there are lots of ways to feed your creativity, but that's a huge part of my work now because I work with a lot of writers.
Welcome back to my podcast. I'm Tanya Corliss, and today we're going to talk about business. Somebody decide to stay and work for somebody, but somebody decide to take over and make its life happen in a different way. I would like to introduce my guest, journalist, business mentor, beautiful woman, entrepreneur woman, Maria McHale. Hi, Maria.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. I'm so delighted to see you.
Yeah, well, it's a good start.
It's the beginning.
I'm intrigued by my own life now.
I would love to hear more that I found out from you. So you're doing business mentor. So when you decide to step in that kind of a field?
Well, I think I was a journalist for the entire first part of my career, and I worked on newspapers and magazines, and I wrote about politics and health and all those kind of things. And then I had a baby. And when he was about 3, you know, you start thinking about nursery, school and those kind of things. So I needed a bit more flexibility. I was in London at the time, and being a journalist is not a 9-to-5 job ever. So I decided that I would go freelance. And a lot of people, so I just started writing about my own stuff. And a lot of people were saying to me, can you teach me how to do what you're doing? Or can you make me sound more human and less robotic and businessy, you know? So that literally is how I started getting into mentoring and mentoring other business women essentially at the beginning. So I've just managed, because I like variety, to combine, you know, writing with business mentoring and basically encouraging people to show up fully as themselves for the last 20-something years.
Oh my God, wonderful. Do you know, I found myself sometimes, when you think about a business, it's complicated, it's difficult, it's maybe too much responsibilities, and plus responsible not only for yourself, you're responsible for people if you have them working for you. Then you're responsible for your bills, and what if something doesn't work the way you set up? That's why...
Which happens.
Yes, and some people will be afraid of that.
Well, it is. I think there's a certain type of person who sets up a business, and usually they're a little bit mad.
That's true.
I think you do need to have a little bit of madness to run your own business, because I know I have a lot of freedom in my business now, but I didn't always. And I've done all the working hard and all the hours and getting burned out and all those things. And I think, you know, somewhere if you can stick with it, you can find your way, but definitely it's not for the faint-hearted. And you know, I think there's so many different ways you can run a business. That's another thing that was really important to me when I first started, you know, that a lot of voices that I heard in the beginning, and particularly like I'm in my 50s now. So, you know, back in the day, there were a lot less women, you know, or less visible. Yeah. And so a lot of my first mentors were male, and you know, that male energy is quite different to female energy. And it took me a while to go, well, hold on, how will I enjoy my business, you know? And also, I think my big why in life is freedom. So I don't like to be too tied down or too many rules. You need structure, but I think if you are thinking of starting your own business, you've got to kind of do a bit of trial and error and work out how will you work best in your business and do that.
Yeah, but you talk about the burnout, but sometimes people who are working for somebody, even if the top professional there, they can be burned out too.
I think even more so. And
why more?
Well, I think, you know, there's pressure, isn't there? Because if you're paid by someone, you have to deliver. And if you're under pressure and you're a bit nervous about losing your job if you don't perform, you know, I think I've known in business a lot of people, and including my clients, who kind of pack all that in to come and set up their own business and find it in other ways equally capable of burning you out, you know. But I think the problem there is just that you need to find out what works for you. And even in business, you've got to be able to say, this isn't the best way for me to work.
Yeah.
Easier said than done in a corporate environment.
That is true. But again, when you talk about business and you said flexibilities, yes, from one side you'll get more flexibility. From another side, that's really because
pressure.
your hat constantly
You do have
focus
that.
on
Yes.
what you're doing.
I think I definitely have more business friends in my life. And I do think we're a bit more understanding of that fact that we're more conscious that it's our baby.
Yes, that is true.
We work in it. We love it. I mean, I have managed for 25 years to work and never feel like I'm working. I get up every day and I'm like, when can I start work? I actually really, really enjoy it. So it's a kind of a passion that, yes, I don't always switch off. I have got better at switching off as the years have gone by. And I mostly have downtime now. I've trained myself. And again, not easy, and I do find it hard. I'm like, well, just check this, or let me just sort that out, or has that person done this for me? But I have got better. I suppose that's the joy of, going into mentoring and coaching, that, you actually have to listen to your own advice sometimes.
Oh, yes, but it's hard.
It's hard. But I think if you create a business out of something, that wasn't there before, you have a passion that drives you. So like my passion is working with people and helping them to show up and be seen and heard. And so I find that so exciting. It doesn't matter in what field, although I tend to work with a lot of creative business owners or coaches, psychotherapists, because that's just my area and I'm interested in it. But there's a passion there that will carry you a huge amount and give you great energy. So I'm lucky it hasn't gone away yet. So long may it continue.
But again, if you talk about their business and working for somebody, right? And people saying holidays part.
Yeah.
And you says now it's you're feeling more relaxed than before. But at the same time, when you go on holiday, I believe you're still working, even half as a day or hours.
I've got actually quite good at that.
Fantastic. Then.
So, and I would actually, again, as a mentor, I think over the years I have changed in my views as I've got more mature or more sense, I don't know which, or some sense. So I try when I'm away to either delegate or schedule. So there is an element now in your own business. I will say the caveat to that is I work a bit harder before I go to get to that point.
Okay.
But I do try now to get out of the work environment for very valid reasons, which are also to do with my work, because I work with a lot of creative people and I'm very creative myself. And, that whole idea of burnout that we discussed earlier, I think if you don't stop, you will actually, and it's not even burnout where you're physically sick, but you burn out of ideas. You burn out of your bit of passion and you burn out of energy, and it's harder to create in a vacuum. So
good point.
I really concentrate now. I actually believe it's in my best interests to walk away regularly from work. And I'm also one of those people, there's a quote, I'm terrible at like quoting things verbatim, but there's a quote which saying, get a job or get a business where you don't have to take time off from.
Yes.
You enjoy it. So I never get to the point where I'm on my knees and I have to go on holiday anymore, because I will take the time. But I do think as business owners or as creative people, if you're listening, you have to feed creativity. You have to feed your mind. Oh, there's a lot. I can talk about that. Yeah. There's a lot of ways. And one of them is walking away from your day to day and taking time out. And it doesn't have to be 2 weeks. I said this on a thing I was doing the other day. I think a lot of the time people go, I need to go away for 2 weeks holiday and, or have an eat, pray, love journey to just, find myself again. But actually, you could just go off on an adventure for a day and have fun and do something different. I'm a big fan of that. So there are lots of ways to feed your creativity, but that's a huge part of my work now, because I work with a lot of writers.
According to your page on Instagram, you have the private Facebook group.
Yes.
So can you explain what is that?
Yes. So I have a private Facebook group, which is for writers. It's called Writers Inc. And I run it with one of my great friends, and I call her my partner in crime because she is actually a crime writer, a best-selling crime writer, Sam Blake. And again, she's a business connection that I met, I think probably a decade ago now, and we became friends. And then several years ago, it's actually 5 years ago now, we set up a mentoring group for writers, because we'd both been in that field for a long time, and we felt very strongly that there's so much advice for writers, particularly I'm talking fiction rather than nonfiction, but we felt like it can be a very critical space and writers can be very introverted. And a lot of the advice they were getting was crushing them. You know, I've mentored so many people who said, I haven't written for 20 years because I showed my writing to someone and they said it was this, it was that, it was the other thing. And I'm going, oh my God, you know, and they were literally so crushed. They just put their writing in a drawer and never wrote again. And our group is the antidote to that.
Help them.
So it's constructive. It's a mentoring program. The amazing thing about it is there's founding members who joined 5 years ago and are still there. It's a hugely supportive community, but it is actually, we are in there every day mentoring and giving advice. And we've had 7 debut bestsellers since we started.
Well
so
done.
It does work.
Congratulations.
Yes. Well, congratulations to them because they listened and took on board the advice and they're great writers. And, you know, we're very, very proud of them. But also we know what we're doing works. So that's been an amazing experience. Yeah. And that's in a private group. So that's the writing. And then I also have I have over the years done similar mastermind groups for business owners. And it's not that different. It's the same thing. It's like how to basically be your best self to get what you want in your life. That's really what you're trying to help people with.
That's right. But amazing to have such a group where you can be involved and help people and see their success. It's not everybody will take over and saying, okay, yeah, but somebody says no. Why you will say yes if you get me.
Yeah.
I know from different purpose.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of where you have to be so brave to take on board and says, listen, I know how I can help you. Just follow by the structure and you will be there.
And I would say, you know, it's interesting because I was coming to talk to you about coaching and mentoring today. And, you know, I've definitely had clients over the years who have wanted to come and work with me and we have done coaching and mentoring and they've gone away and not done one thing or, you know, not followed, you know, and that's not a reflection on them or me, actually. It's just that particular time or that moment in their life, they didn't have the energy or the bravery, maybe courage, whatever it is, you know, the timing wasn't right. And I've then seen those people, you know, later on go on and do amazing things. And I think that happens, you know, timing is everything. And so, for us, we were just very conscious that we're very constructive. You know, I think it's actually quite hard to coach and mentor someone when you're saying, okay, the way you're doing X isn't going to work for you, but why don't you take this alternative path and see how you go? And, you know, particularly with writers, but it's like you're saying, it's almost the opposite with business people because they get very focused on their business. But with writers, there's all the rest of life going on. And writing is a very kind of solitary experience. And also you don't necessarily get paid. It's a hobby. And so you really need drive. You need a lot of drive to be a writer that gets a book finished. And it's amazing working with those people. They inspire me every single day.
You inspire me now. Oh my God, I'm probably doing something wrong in my life.
You're not.
NLP.
Yes.
So do you use this practice often or when you recommend to use?
Yeah, well, now NLP is a weird one because I think if you Google it, some people would say it's a pseudoscience, but essentially I started with a coach in Limerick called Moira Geary, and I would say that NLP changed my life at a particular stage in my life. I was very anxious. It was the recession. It was probably I would describe it as a turning point in my life. I had developed anxiety for about 3 years, like palpitations all day, every day. God. I was a shadow of my former self. And I started doing this kind of, it's really about your thoughts, training your thoughts. It's what Paul McKenna, the hypnotist, does it. And I found it so amazing that I then went on and did a kind of master practitioner training in London. But I mean, I am mentoring and coaching for 25 years. So sometimes I laugh with the amount of different modalities I've learned. But for me, NLP is really about how you think and how you can train your brain to think differently. So that if you feel like you're the kind of person who goes, oh, well, everyone else, like we're talking about business.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone else can set up a business, but I can't because I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And these are all the reasons why I can. And that's a story you tell yourself, a person will. And it can be about anything. It can be about relationships or your children or your work colleagues or, the weather, whatever it is. And you can tell yourself that story and it will be true because your brain will make sure that you find evidence every day
that is true.
Of why you think X, Y, and Z. So I remember that feeling of going, when I first started working with Morigiri, I remember thinking, okay, this is interesting. And I just went on, I got rid of the anxiety and I went on this whole journey myself. And I had been a mentor, obviously. So I knew a lot of the things, but it was that, again, this is what I'm saying, at a moment in time.
Yes.
That's what I needed. And I went on and I've done a lot more work and I've learned hypnotherapy and I found it incredibly powerful. And essentially, to me, that's my life's work now. When I work with business owners or with writers or any creative people, I feel like it's how your thoughts affect everything.
Yes, that is true.
So you can get up in the morning and you can say, I'm going to have a terrible day. This is happening and I've got to do that and I've got to do this. Or you can get up in the morning and go, this is going to be a great day.
Yeah.
And it sounds trite and a bit like that kind of toxic positivity. And it's not. But if you can have an attitude that is more kind of can do, it's literally changes everything. So that was where that kind of came in.
And do you use this NLP practice when you do mentoring for
I would
business?
do it, yeah. I mean, it depends on, again, the person sitting in front of me. It was interesting getting your questions because I think I've evolved over the years, as a mentor. I would say I don't do pure coaching. If you're a coach as opposed to a mentor, your job is to ask questions. You never solve someone's problems. You
of
ask
course you
questions.
Can't. Yes, you can't. Yeah.
So you basically encourage and ask questions to help that person in front of you find their voice. Mentoring is slightly different because you're saying, I've done this or I know how this works for me.
That's important actually to verify.
Yes, it's a different thing where you can say, so here's a path. Go and do X, Y, and Z and see, you'll get results here. So mentoring is much more kind of like, I hate this thing where telling people, it's directing people and it's easier. So I'm kind of use both and all the 25 years of different little bits. So when someone says, oh, can you coach me? When I was a younger, less experienced coach, I used to have an agenda and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to check with this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Very much now, I have a chat with them beforehand, but then I literally sit with them and I just somehow I'm a much more intuitive and obviously years of experience now to just go, okay, what does this person really, really need that will get them from where they are now to where they want to be? And then it just unfolds that way. And I can use my experience and their experience to get them there. Yeah. So.
And how long will it take for you to understand the potential needs for your clients?
Well, I mean, again, probably thanks to experience. You can talk to someone and ask them some leading questions, and even the way they answer you, I can tell what they think, how they think. I can even often, I will go, I know exactly where they're getting stuck because of the way they've described the problem they've got. And so now I'm kind of like, so when we start working together, I find it, you have to ask a lot of questions, obviously, about where they are, what they want. And as they're doing that, people will always tell you how they are, how they feel, what's making them stuck. And so it's an adventure for every time that I sit down with someone. Again, I have huge passion for it. I get excited even thinking about it because you go on a journey with them.
That is true.
And you have hopefully a wonderful experience with them and you see them as you're working with them, changing, developing, becoming the best version of themselves. Yeah. And I mean, even as I say it, I'm like, oh, it's so lovely. So I just love that, and I've had great mentors myself who've helped me be that person. And so it's actually wonderful. I really, really enjoy it.
Oh,
yes.
Maria, my God, it's amazing. You look after Irish Female magazine. And you launched this magazine in 2015.
Yeah.
Why you decide to do it's very unusual. It's just the first and only Irish aquatic magazine.
And it doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
I ran a publishing company when I first came back from London, and of course, being my journalism background, it was I had set up a publishing company in the UK, and I it was great. And when I was deciding to move back to Ireland, I sold that company and then set up an Irish one. And that swimming magazine was because my son at the time was a competitive swimmer. And there was nothing in Ireland for swimmers. And he was very passionate about swimming. And I had a health magazine. And I thought, it'd be great to have, again, you can see there's a similarity there with the Writers Inc. group. I love creating communities. I'm
That's
a
very good.
massive fan of connection and community. And I really felt like there should be a swimming magazine for the swimming community so that they could be highlighted and their stories could be told. Obviously, it mixes and matches all the things that I like doing. And it was great, but I think it was probably ahead of its time. And it was also at the time, the recession had hit advertising revenue in magazines. So that whole company was like, the company survived to the end. But when I stopped doing it, really, I just thought I'm going to go in a different direction. But yeah, I loved creating something that out
unusual.
Of nothing. Yeah, it was different. It gave people a voice, which I love, so it's it was important. Wonderful. And I have all the copies of it still, and I love it still. Yeah. It's the same with any magazine. I still sometimes look at pictures of my magazines at the time on a shelf in a newsagent that I have pictures of. And I kind of go, yeah, I created those things. And I told stories and gave people a platform to be heard and to be seen, and to share their passion, which of course kind of blends the whole thing of storytelling, journalism and mentoring. And it was a perfect time, for that.
Well done. Congratulations, very successful. Another magazine that you relaunched, it was 2016, about 10 years. It's Ireland leading health, fitness and well-being magazine called Sláinte.
Sláinte, as in, Irish for health.
Yes.
So that was when we first came back. That was the kind of flagship magazine in Ireland at the time. And it was a great experience for me to be the editor of that. And it's probably the first platform I built in this country, because I'd basically gone away when I was 18 to university to London, and I didn't come back for 16 years. So even though obviously I came back to see my family, but I wasn't living, I was living in a different country. And so I had no platform, if you like. So Sláinte was the kind of platform. I was the editor of that magazine and the publisher, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good decade, I think, of just amazing experiences. It got shortlisted for many awards and blog awards, and I had a lot of personal success with it and built up an amazing set of contacts and a network of people that I'm still involved with to this day. It was a great experience. Again, I think sometimes, it's also knowing when to end things. Yeah. So, I think in 2017, I just went in a completely different direction. And it was, I just felt like, that's time to let that particular, go on to something new.
Another thing, you was talking about business for a woman or business for man. Yeah. As now we can see more entrepreneur women who stepped in and try to bring their energy and vibes, and probably completely different to men. From your point of view, what is the differences between such energy? Or maybe women, they should consider that and take more on the shoulders, their own shoulders, from the men way how they run the businesses. Always could be different.
Oh, well, I would go with being yourself in business. And I have known women who were more powerful and tougher and stricter and more forceful and even more cutthroat, dare I say, than a lot of men I've met. So I don't think you can define a particular way. There's definitely obviously male and female energy. I think men are more able to put themselves forward. There's actual research around that in organizational research circles, where it's been proven that men will speak up more in meetings. They'll volunteer more. I think they just feel like go for it. Yeah, or go for it. They just have that bit more. Whereas women tend to need a bit more encouragement. Again, it's not a blanket rule, but it's definitely research. I suppose, again, over the years, having, I'm in my 50s now, so I have worked and came up through my work life where obviously there were a lot more men around in senior positions. But I think in business, it's really about, I think, working out what works best for you. So I am not, like, I would actually say it's funny because I think being in business, you do have to have a bit of masculine energy because and I agree with you, like, although I coach a lot of introverts, I am oh, look, let's try it. I have a joke that I say, well, nobody's going to die if we try that.
True.
As long as we're not standing at the edge of a cliff throwing something off.
But
no.
if you're not trying, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you don't know. But that doesn't mean that will work for my clients. They might just have a nervous breakdown and go, there's absolutely no way, that woman's absolutely lunatic. So I have a different energy, and I can't expect people. This is a problem.
Yeah.
How do I fix it? That's my mental energy as a person. So I'm not the same as everyone else. And so I think there's differences between men and women. And I suppose the way I look at it now is, I just think ultimately, if you're healthy and mentally healthy and you've got good family relationships, you've got a good social circle, and you love getting up and going to work every day, you have nailed your thing.
That's true.
And it doesn't,
it's easy.
That's what I mean about whether that's a man or a woman, how they do it. I've known amazingly gentle, brilliant leaders who were men, and I've known amazingly forceful, kind of scary women. I mean, I don't think you can make a generalization, but I suppose the way I would look at it is, I certainly know a lot of business people who all run their business very differently, very successfully on their own terms. And I think that really is the secret
Personality
to the whole thing. On your terms, what is your passion, and how do you want, do you want to get up and you don't care? It's like Monday means nothing to me. I'm like, yay, it's Monday. I don't think, I've got to start the week. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people do have that feeling. And I suppose that then your values are aligned, you've got the right strategy, you've got the scaffolding around you to support you in all the other parts of your life. And you're just like, right, let's just go for this. And that's probably my long-winded answer to everyone is different, and really the best way is what works for you. Yeah.
Okay, if you talk about the personality and the energy out of this person, doesn't matter, man, woman, just as an example we're talking about. So would you recommend for people to do tete-a-tete, personal business monitoring, or better join the group? Because it's just that sometimes if you came for something, you can get the energy out of. And I believe if you join the group, probably get, not for everybody again, it just maybe you will get more energy, like vibe. That vibe will help you just to move.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're struggling and says, okay, I don't have this energy, I don't know where to get maybe ideas, or a little bit kind of a supporting kind of to know
100%.
moment.
Yeah.
And when you join the group, you can get out that. But maybe for the result point of view, you'll get better if you do in a person way.
Well, I think it depends again, but I do agree with you. I mean, obviously, you should hope that if you're getting one-to-one mentoring, if it's the right mentoring for you or the right coaching for you, you are going to get a very personalized experience. So, which you can't get in a group. Absolutely not. In a group, you kind of find a kind of median line of where everyone's going, and you create a group program, but everyone has to fit into that group program. And, there's people on various points on it. Okay. When I have a group program, I also have a lot of people within the group who say, can I do some extra coaching with you? Which is perfectly fine. And then obviously one-to-one coaching, it's all about you. It's true. Totally your zone. Okay. It's literally your gift to yourself. And so one-to-one coaching is like, this is all about me. I'm here. You're fully focused 110% on me, and you're going to help me get there. And that's why it's a different experience. Yeah. They're both very valuable, and I love doing both, but they're not the same. You can't coach two people in a group. You have to pick a media, you have to, because you can't coach them, and they're coming to you from very different, their own lived experiences. So one could be an incredibly optimistic can-do person, and one is an introvert who doesn't like talking to people. So you're not going to be able to, encourage them in the same way.
But would you say that, for example, again, to define, if you are looking for to trial, I would say, go for group. If you know exactly what you like to do, go to person.
That's great. I mean, that's a great way to do it. And I would encourage that. I think particularly if you I suppose the kind of groups I create, they're not necessarily finite where, you've got 12 weeks. I actually like, because I create community as well, like you're building this whole vibe, energy, place. I call it's a bit like the Cheers bar, it's even though it's a virtual space, it's a place on the internet where you go in and your people are there and you're like, yay, they get me and I like this and I understand this place and it's like cool and it fills me up when I go in there. And whether I'm in a good or a bad mood, I come away from there and I feel better. Someone's been there. Yeah. So that's the purpose behind what I create.
That's true.
And whether you do that in person or in a group, you can do that. And so it's a lovely kind of feeling. And that's what you want really. So it's that's just, true. So, and then obviously one-to-one, it's a bit more intimate. It's more, you're going to share a lot of your deepest, darkest thoughts sometimes in coaching.
It would be easy to do, by the way, in a person, either than in a group as well.
Yeah. So I think you just have to decide, what do you want, and so I suppose the lowest, I always try and have something that people can access at every price point. So yes, joining a group is obviously much less expensive and you can still ask questions and everything, but it's not going to be as personalized as if you came and said, right, this is all about me. How can I help you?
Let me to bring you back to London. So you grew up in London or in...
No, I grew up in Ireland.
In Ireland, okay. So, and why did you move to London?
Well, back in the Victorian ages, as my children would say, when I was young.
Dinosaurs.
There weren't many... I think there was like one journalism course you could do in Ireland and I wanted to be a journalist and... I could have gone to university and done an arts degree, but I had found this course in the UK in London where I could study journalism. Yeah. So I went, I thought I'd go for a few years and I ended up saying 16. So yeah, I started my career there, finished uni, worked my way up the career ladder, had great opportunities and met amazing people and... it was the start of a lot. I love the energy of London and...
Big city.
Yeah. And I think big cities, we were just talking about this before we started the podcast, but there's also an energy in London of really you can do anything and nobody really, you can do anything, you can be anything. It was just so exciting coming out of 80s Ireland and 90s. I went there in 1990. And if you're of a certain age, you'll remember what Ireland was like then. It wasn't a great place to be, particularly for young women. I think I grew up in the 80s and the history of Ireland was not kind to women. And I felt it was very oppressive. Yeah. And I remember going to London and it was bright and you could literally do anything you wanted. And there were so many jobs and opportunities and things to do. And I just loved it. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Because big city, less, people don't know you and they wouldn't judge you.
Yeah. And I think you get an allowance in big cities. There's more interesting people and less rules.
Yeah, I love that.
Not a fan of rules. Yeah.
So, and you did do there, like example again, that I found out about you, that you was doing the public finance for 5 years.
Yes, that was a magazine.
And then you doing the Daily Express, Sunday Express, the
magazines and news. That was the newspapers. So I worked for a lot of the newspapers as a freelance journalist. So yeah, I wrote for the Guardian, the Express, the Sunday Express, the Telegraph, the Mail,
Daily Mail, Zest magazine, the Guardian, London, United Kingdom magazine probably. And then you was working also for 4 years as deputy editor. What does that mean?
Deputy editor. Yeah. So yeah, that's where you're kind of like just below the editor in management terms.
Okay.
And you're basically the kind of second in command of a group.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Why did you decide to leave? Because you was there for 4 years.
Well, I think, again, I suppose it's the thing of I'm really good at enjoying what I do. So when I do it, like I 100% enjoy it. And I loved that job and I did it for 4 years. And you're running a magazine department. So like you're an editor and you're a deputy editor and you, like in that particular role, I was in charge of the people side of things as well. Okay. So all the reporters and everything, which is my natural skill. As you can see, I've basically carried on working with people. I'm very naturally good with working with people. And I loved it. But I had a little baby at that time. And he was, I think, turning 3. And I remember thinking, as I said, journalism, you can't go at 5 o'clock, oh, there's a story breaking, but I need to go home now. And I just also I'd been working at a very high pace for my whole career so far, and had great success. And I think I was like, okay, I need to do something now which fits a little bit where I have more control over my time. Yeah. So, I mean, ironically, I stopped working in that role, but ended up freelancing for that company. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So again, it's just as most women do, I think adding children into the mix makes you look at ways your career can benefit you. And that's kind of started me. I always say my son is the reason why I just started my own business. So it's all his fault.
Can you say it when you working for this magazine as an editor, so you built all the skills, maybe even knowledge how to delegate and working with people where you can able to use now when you do the 100%. Business things.
Yeah, I mean, that was the great thing. I mean, number one, obviously, clearly, I'd done my journalism training, and I'm very lucky. Both my parents are very sociable people. So I had great people skills. And I realize now, I often say this to people who are good with other people. Yeah. It's not natural to a lot of people, but it was very natural to me. And I just, again, just by working in different companies, I was naturally a leader. I can persuade people to come with me. Yeah. I can persuade people. I think I'm good with bringing people with me, or I'm great at starting things.
You're a leader. You're a natural leader.
Bring a lot of energy, and it's so I think that really is where that started, and really that's what I'm still doing. It's my good
That's
skill.
True, by the way. So that's exactly what I'm trying to explain to people. That when you start something small, then you be a big person. You had a good career growing, then change life situation, and then you decide, okay, I build this and that, so I believe in myself. I can move and start something else. That's important to explain that nothing happened just because you want it.
And I think that's a great thing to just end on. I think we're so used to now, because we have access to absolutely everything at our fingertips, that everything's easy and everything is quick and everything is fast. And yes, that can be the case, but I would actually defy anyone to come and give me an example. I would say that most of the good stuff that's around now, I have friends who describe this, the overnight success that took 10 years. People see the end result of hard years and years of hard work, and they go, that looks easy. But those people have been there, steady, building skills, learning, growing, developing themselves.
Stable.
Yeah. Looking for, going, how can I be better at this? How can I be better at my job? Yeah. And that is the overnight success isn't very rarely short. It's a long path. And hopefully that's, along that path, you have found the many versions of yourself and grown into many different versions of yourself, and you can, you're getting better each time and learning and implementing the learning, and that's the magic of it.
That is true. Absolutely agree with you. Can you give a quick advice for people who maybe decide to start a business advisor and a future mentor coaching? So what the main keywords you can tell us and as advice?
Okay, so if you want to set up your own business, is it?
Not really. If somebody, basically, actually for the both. Kind of for one person who just set up the business because they try to set up the business coaching for what exactly they will be do for somebody else, but mostly for them, Yeah.
So I think the first thing I would say is look at yourself. I think we forget that. We're very focused on the business and all these rules, and actually the person needs to be fully firing on all the cylinders. And I think that's where a lot of the time people get stuck or they start falling apart. And so think about you in your business as much as you on your business. We all work on our business where we're like, and we're in our business. And sometimes, you just have to come out of it all and take time. And that's where I suppose coaching and mentoring is valuable, because you go, okay, you're looking down and you're going, this is working, that's not working. How can I make this all better? And how can I make it better for myself? So I think and I do that all the time myself. I come back and go, okay, I've just done 3 months. I always work in 3-month cycles. So I'm always going, okay, I've done that for 3 months now. And that was my plan. How did it look? Did it work? Did I like it? was it terrible? Was it good?
Yes.
What worked? What didn't work? And then I just throw out the things that didn't work and go again. And I think you always have to be analyzing and seeing,
What's worked, what doesn't work.
I think a lot of the time as people, we can get stuck into something and we're like in a lane and we're going along and we're plodding and the car is getting slower and slower and you're like, oh, and you kind of don't realize.
It's true.
So you sometimes need to stop the car, get out and go, what's going on here? And I think everybody should do that, whether you're starting a business, whether you're in a business. Constantly say to yourself, am I the best version of me to do this job? How can I be better? Where can I look? And it might be take a few days off, go and laugh with your friends. Like I said, it can be those kind of things. And sometimes it's just that thing of going, okay, this isn't working. I don't like it. So how can I make it more fun for me? And I think just asking yourself those questions regularly, it doesn't have to be an angsty thing. And also before you run yourself into the barricades, you've actually avoid all the big crashes that way.
But I can see from your experience, Maria, that you try to build yourself every day, better and better, right? So how you upgrade yourself? Are you follow other coaches who is a little bit up to
I'm a bit of a nerd. I think, over the years, I've kind of, again, years of experience, I've worked out what works for me. And I give a lot of myself.
Okay.
I always say I like to serve, but I'm one of those people. I'm a teacher, I'm a leader. So that involves giving a lot of energy. And I always say to my clients, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I used to try, I've had that experience as well. And I think I just go, okay, I need to fill my cup by doing things that I love doing, by taking days off, by going on little adventures, reading different things, going to watch different things, talking to different random people. And I always try and make some kind of time for that. And that kind of fills my cup and allows me then to go, because I like to have good energy. And I feel it's my responsibility if I'm coaching people to arrive full of energy and good energy so that I can bring them with me. And I think a lot of the time, if your cup is empty, you just can't do that.
You can't do that.
So I just feel like just be nice to yourself. But, it is a bit about just looking after yourself mentally, physically, as I said, with good people around. I mean, my values are very much aligned with like being around kind, loving people. And I'm trying to be that myself. And that just makes me want to just get up every day. So
who you are.
Yeah.
But you are beautiful, honestly. You're clever. You're a smart woman who set up your own business.
Thank you.
Running successfully, and you also try to educate other ones.
Yes. Well, that I love doing.
Maria, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
over. But we're not finished yet. So
yes.
now the funny part, okay?
Okay.
So I'll give you 5 names of the current presidents, different countries. So, and you try to compare them to their animal that you have association with, okay?
Okay.
So Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, she's not president, but after Zelensky,
okay,
Putin, and Michael D. Higgins.
Okay. Oh, that's it.
Okay,
well,
so I also have a picture to demonstrate, remind everyone how...
I actually know what they're like, yeah. I mean, obviously Trump in
Just a second, I'll give you option of the animals.
I have to pick the animals. I don't get to pick the animals. Okay.
No, I give it to you. So, Donald Trump.
Yes.
So, then Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
They had a fight. She's not a winner, but still.
No.
Zelensky.
Yeah.
This fella Putin. And Michael Higgins. Just again, remind to everybody, just make sure everybody remember that. So, okay, compare them to zebra, hedgehog, elephant, panda, or gorilla. Donald Trump, from your point of view. Again, it's not point of view, it's your association with the person between. Well, look at them, think about it. Personalities could be anything.
Yeah. Tricky. I like those animals too much to compare them to Donald Trump, really. Is he maybe a hedgehog, prickly, hard to nail down?
Yeah, good point. Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Probably zebra, maybe. She's sleek and clever and fast.
I love it.
Yeah.
Zelensky.
Oh, elephant I'll go with.
Big elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Putin, panda or gorilla?
Oh, he'll have to be gorilla for
Gorilla, oh my goodness.
Evil. The evil
He
gorilla.
deserved that.
Yeah.
Michael D. Higgins, a panda.
Panda. He has to be a panda because he's lovely. I mean, he's poetic and wonderful. So like he has to be a panda.
Maria, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed.
It was fabulous. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much to tell your story. And actually, it's very impressive. And I believe our audience learned lots of things out of you. Hopefully. And to believe, I would say they can start believing themselves more after your story. Because that is important too when you move somewhere, doesn't matter where.
And I always say that, you know, I mean, when I'm encouraging people to tell their story, your story often becomes another person's survival guide. Which is a great quote.
Yes.
And, you know, I know myself at times when it's been difficult, you know, I've thought, well, if that person can do it, I can do it too. So I'm always encouraging people to share their experiences for that reason. Yeah. You never know who's listening who could be inspired by you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. To stay with me, to watch me. I'm Tanya Corliss. See you in the next episode. Bye.